Hello, YouTube! Have you ever wondered what's on the side of an old movie theater? Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Holly Theater. And we're going to go on a tour. I hope you enjoy.
Every second of the 2 hours we had for it.
Yeah. You went through once before. Ronnie's husband. I'm also the director of development and community outreach for the Holly Theater. You missed our executive director. We have a small enough group where we're going to take us all together on one big tour and have a lot of fun. So we're going to spend a few minutes in here. I'm going to talk a little bit, and then we'll get going into the theater. I do want to mention that is the only working restroom in the building. So, keep that in mind. Don't believe.
I don't know about you.
Okay, a little bit about who we are and what we do. Holly Theater is a restoration project that's being operated by a company called Jefferson Live. That's a wholly owned subsidiary of the JPR Foundation. So if you've heard of Jefferson Public Radio, so, okay, well, we're close cousins, but we're completely separate from them. So we have the same parent company, but we don't share any monies. Because in addition to this restoration project, we also operate the Cascade Theater in Redding, California. And that's another classic movie palace that JPR purchased and restored, and it's now in its 13th season of operating in black. So we're excited about that. And we're going to use that same business model that we use at the Cascade here at the Holly. Which means we're going to be bringing in a lot of great artists that when they tour up and down I-5, especially when bread isn't in season, there's just no place for them to stop. So how many of you end up driving to Eugene or Redding or someplace else to go see a concert? Well, now you'll be able to actually stay in Medford and enjoy a really great venue and see the concert without having to pay for that motel and everything else. Yeah.
Great.
A little bit about the history of the theater. The construction started in 1929, literally weeks after the Great Depression hit. Kind of a scary time to be starting a major building and a new business. So it kind of affected how they designed this building. And you're going to see that when we kind of go through there. But they kind of hedged their bets in a lot of different directions, which is really what saved this building. But keep in mind, they built this for $150,000 in 6 months' time. Now, in today's dollars, that'd be about $12 million. Okay, so that's a lot of, fortunately, this project to restore this building back to its original 1930 opening night look, but still being a modern contemporary venue, is about $4.3 million. So you can see it's still a lot of money, but that's really a bargain. Compared to like Ashland is redoing, or Shakespeare Festival is redoing one of their theaters. They're actually just redoing the lobby and installing an elevator and spending $11 million. Wow. So this really is a bargain of a theater. Now, there's 3 reasons why we're doing this project, and they're listed right here. Preserve an amazing building. Every time we have our public tours, which is the first Saturday of each month, we end up with people coming in telling stories about their first dates, their first jobs, first kisses, first breakups, and some other first. And so we actually have generations that have come to this building and have memories here. This is really the last of the original historic movie palaces in Medford. There was originally 5. They either burnt down, got torn down, or converted. You're familiar with the criterion. That was originally older than the Holly Theater, but when they restored that, it turns out they were only able to save one wall. So it's not the original theater. So this is our last chance to preserve a piece of history. Secondly, expand the arts. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about that on the tours, but like I said, we're going to be bringing in artists that currently don't have a way to perform here. So in addition to bringing in all those traveling artists, when you have larger artists coming in, of course, we're going to be using local bands as opening acts. So we're bringing in, once again, really back into the theater. We have designed our programming so that, first of all, we're not competing with other not-for-profits or other venues here, because our goal is to make Medford an arts destination. Just like the Rogue Valley is a wine destination, if you only have one winery, it's not a destination, right? Well, when you have the Holly Theater, the Criterion, the Randall Theater, in addition to Brit and the Shakespeare Festival, Camelot Theater, all of those, all of a sudden you've got a destination. So wine and entertainment, they kind of go well together, as you kind of see. Yeah. Okay, so like I said, theater opened in 1930, closed in 1986 due to changes in the ticket pricing from Hollywood. When it started out, most of the money when you paid for a ticket, that 25 cents, well, 20 of it stayed here. The 5 cents went to Hollywood. Well, by the late 70s, early 80s, you might be paying $8.50 for a ticket. Just a few cents would stay at the theater. The rest goes back to Hollywood. So all of a sudden, you can imagine it doesn't make sense to try and operate a single screen. How do you make money? You sell concessions. So that's how we got multiplexes. You got 4, 6, 8 screens and concessions selling, $6 sodas and $8 popcorn. That's how they make the money. Of course, we'll be making money off concessions also. But we'll have a lot more fundraising sessions. All right, and then vibrancy. We'll talk about that probably more at the end of the tour. But projects like this across the country are kind of a proven way to bring life back to downtown areas like here. Now, you notice there's plenty of parking around here. Nights and weekends, especially this side of the railroad tracks, it's very quiet down here. Now, imagine, our Cascade Theater has its doors open about 200 nights a year. 1,000 people coming downtown, 200 nights a year. All of a sudden, you have a lot of businesses that are like, we want to get on this. And that's our goal. Studies show that we're going to bring in about $3 million a year into the local economy. That's not us. That's all the businesses around us making those improvements. The equivalent of almost 90 full-time jobs. So essentially, every business in downtown Medford would want to or need to hire a part-time person. That's a big impact, especially in West Medford, where we really have a high unemployment rate, as well as once you have a theater here that's active and vital, people want to start advertise for all of the other performing arts venues in the region. We are very inclusive. If you saw or attended this year's Pear Blossom Parade, we were fortunate to get 23 other arts organizations to come together with us in the parade, in part to celebrate Jim Collier's contributions to the arts. He was very generous and made a major contribution to sponsor an elevator that's going to be installed in the building for the first time. But like I said, we are very much about being collaborative rather than fighting against. Like I said, we want everybody to succeed. And our programming, of course, we're not going to want to compete. It doesn't make sense business-wise. Well, I think we've got just about everybody out here. So you'll notice the blade sign and the marquee have been replaced. But if you peek in, or if you notice that picture when we lock the door, the blade sign was originally down about the same level as the marquee. Now, they quickly learned that trucks trying to make the corner could not they'd hit the sign. So they raised it up to what the level it is today, and we've kind of memorialized that. It is, and it works better, and the trucks can go around the corner now, so it's all good. The marquee, like I said, all we had was that picture I pointed out in there. And so we contacted a historic sign company in California and said, can you make this for us? We don't have any designs. They said, sure, we'll do it. And then we also discovered that the original neon lighting here, they don't make this style of neon in the United States anymore. So this actually ended up being manufactured in Italy and then brought over here, assembled in California, brought up, and then installed by Blaze Signs.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, in the late 90s, you might recall the building was condemned. What happened, there was a couple of ceiling trusses in the auditorium failed because they had not been able to afford to be able to do maintenance on the building for a number of years before the theater even closed in 1986. So a leaking roof, we had a ecosystem of its own going on in there. And so those trusses failed. The building was condemned, and everybody was worried that it was going to fall down. So JPR bought it. You know. But fortunately, what really saved the building was the Alfinito family, which still operates this barber shop. When the theater closed, they wanted to preserve it, bring it back to life, but of course couldn't come up with the money. But they did get it placed on the Registry of Historic Places, which is what saved this building from being torn down when it was condemned. So we're very fortunate about that. So now we can step a little bit forward into here. And you'll notice, remember I pointed out in that picture, we know what the theater looks like from here up. From here down we didn't. Well, our historic consultant, like I said, we didn't know what this area looked like because everybody's always, you know, got cars in front, something else. So he came up with a very period appropriate terrazzo design. All excited about that. Construction workers got out here with jackhammers, started jackhammering up all the concrete and the layers, different indoor, outdoor carpeting and stuff. And lo and behold, they found a chunk of tile. And so we went, oh, okay, change plans. So we took that chunk of tile, sent it off to a tile company, had it reproduced, and so that's how we have this here today.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah, so, and then you're going to notice that I'm standing in this giant H. Anybody have any idea what this is about besides standing for the Holly? Ticket booth. Exactly. Originally there was, of course, a ticket booth, and they were very excited about the fact that they even had an emergency buzzer in that ticket booth. Now, if you can imagine, we're facing southwest. Can you imagine sitting in this little glass box?
In July?
In July, roasting your head off, and then of course in the winter, freezing. You know, I'm sure they have a little heater in there. Now, unfortunately, the fire department said, well, you can either replace the ticket booth or let people go into your auditorium. Because of modern egress issues, we're not allowed to have this space here. So we decided to memorialize it with this plaque.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then you're going to notice these big green tiles and these smaller ones. All the larger ones are for donors of $100,000 and above. And the exciting thing is they're all out being engraved as we speak. But if you want to donate $100,000, we'll send them a spot for you. Smaller tiles are $50,000 piece. We have about half of these already sponsored and getting engraved also. So it's been really exciting hearing that community feedback, as well as a lot of larger companies, such as Asante. We have an Asante representative with us today. You know, Asante was very generous in sponsoring all of our ADA compliancy features. So we have an automatic door as well as some other features inside so that people in wheelchairs or handicap accessibility issues will have a way to still enjoy the show. And really where we're going to put them, we're probably going to get the best seats in the house.
Question about the brick on the front of the building.
Yes. Brick? Where? Okay.
What's it called?
What's it called?
Yeah, like is this a facade that they put on?
Oh, yes, the brick on the
There's an interesting
facade
pattern.
of the building.
Yes.
In a peculiar pattern.
The exterior of the building, I forgot we have an architectural fan here, is loosely based on Spanish colonial revival. Movie palaces always like to have themes. People in 1930 weren't as well traveled as we are today, nor did they have the travel channel to see those things. And so the architects would create themes, especially in 1930 or the Depression. You went to the movie to kind of escape your problems anyways. So why not be swept away to a different land? So if you were on the other side of the street, you can see we actually have a red tile terracotta roof, at least on the front. And then the brickwork pattern is based on Spanish colonial revival. These are the same bricks that were used at St. Mary's original building. Very unique, very challenging to replace. So the ones we have, we cherish. When we acquired this building, like I said, it had been through almost 80 years of just sitting here and nothing happening. It was dirty, grimy, and if you look up either now or when you leave, you're going to see some rosettes up underneath. Okay, when we acquired the building, after, like I said, so many years of smudge pots, traffic going.
That's awesome.
I know, I love it, but everybody's like, it's weird.
Yeah.
Guess what's swimming in it?
It kind of looks like him.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's very flush
We're now in the original foyer, and this is a space, one space that we've actually restored back to its original look. Oh yes, and it's going to get even colder. I promise you. Right now, yeah, we don't have any heating or cooling.
It's perfect for a big old bear.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna. Yeah, our winter tours go a little quicker. We restored this space just so everybody can get an idea of what the rest of the theater is going to look like when it's restored. We have there's a company called Evergreen Architectural Restoration. They are kind of the preeminent forensics for historic buildings, and so they do government buildings. Theaters, any major historic building across the country, they really have a hand in. What they do is they come out and take paint samples, almost like core samples, scheduled for demolition, so why keep all the good stuff in here, get rid of it, if you're going to tear down the building? Well, these two fixtures in here are the only original fixtures hanging in the building. We're fortunate where now we've actually acquired at least one of every decorative element back, so there's no more guesswork. But Bob Russell out at the Point Mill, which is now burnt down unfortunately, contacted us about a year ago, or a little over a year ago, and said, you know, I think we've got a plaster piece out here that belongs to the Holly. So our executive director, Randy, quick ran out there, said, yeah, that's ours. And he said, you know, I think I have some other stuff. He had our chandeliers.
Wow.
So we were fortunate to get those back, and they have been restored back to their original look. Unfortunately, with the way the lighting is in here, you cannot see all the colors that are on them, but they really are bright and colorful. Once they're installed in here, of course, these have not been restored. Somebody just painted them black, so they're not nearly as exciting. So we're going to step into our giant lobby now.
Concessions, your favorite.
Exactly.
That would be food.
When this theater opened, it was actually operated, there was 5 theaters, like I said, in town. They were all operated by the same gentleman. And he was a penny pincher, so what he did is he had one popcorn machine over at the Criterion. And so first thing he did as an employee of the Holly, when you checked in, is you walked over there, grabbed your bags of popcorn, brought them back here to sell. Yeah, not really the best idea. Then they decided, along about 1941 or so, let's put in a vending machine. Great idea, we'll add some chocolates. So they put in a vending machine, put it right over here. Then World War II broke out, chocolate and sugar rationing came about, and the vending machine was empty. Believe it or not, they didn't actually think about putting a concession stand in here. It didn't happen until the mid-1950s. So about 25 years operating before we actually had a concession. Now, when we restore this space, you'll notice that there's actually 4 storefronts on the front. This side is actually going to become a VIP lounge. So you'll have a place for pay a little bit extra for your tickets to mix with the elite if you want. It's going to be our box office, and we'll call it for this. So you'll be able to walk up there and purchase your tickets or pick up your ticket. Our lower main lobby and the Newman Hotel room. So if you've been to bars,
This was the smoking room. Oh no! Actually, that was a sample piece from the sign company. Before we sat there and said, "Okay, we're going to pay you a bunch of money to make a big sign and make us a sample." So that's how we got that. Yeah, but it's still a fun display piece. Yeah, it's great. Okay, as you come in, you're going to notice the building looks really large, larger on the inside than it does on the outside. So does the TARDIS.
Well, there we go. It's a TARDIS. Now, you come in here, and if you've been in historic theaters before, you normally would see a balcony. Notice we just got a very steep rake, what we call stadium seating today. We're used to this. This was very innovative for its time. Now, the Holly Theater was built as the first theater for talking movies. Keep that in mind. And so they were really concerned about noise coming out of these little metal boxes. So they brought in acousticians from New York to make sure the building was tuned right so that the sound quality was amazing. And you're going to see, it is, you can hear me. Yeah, you know. Sound travels in one direction in this building. It's pretty amazing. We've had a couple of performers in here. One time we had an electric group sitting on this little platform. For some reason they decided to face the stage. So even though they're amplified, nobody could hear them. You're standing over here. Then we had a bluegrass band, three-piece bluegrass band come in, and they sat in the same spot except facing this way. You could hear them all the way out onto the street. It was amazing. Now, like I said, this is very unique with that rake design, and we really do have, there's not a bad seat in the house, let's face it. Now, I mentioned, huh?
Bats?
No bats. There's not a bad seat in the house. No, we've gotten rid of all the critters in the building, so you're safe. You know? Yeah. As I mentioned, you know, movie palaces typically had a theme. Now, the exterior of the building was Spanish colonial revival. The interior of the building was meant to mimic a Venice canal scene. So if you look at the swirl marks on these walls, they were kind of meant to mimic kind of plasterwork. And then we have these windows and other sconces. But these windows in these center holes that you can see actually had a window in it that was backlit, had a curtain going across the front. So it looked like somebody was home and ready to come out and enjoy the show, you know. And then, of course, you've noticed this crazy carpeting. Well, that carpet is called a water weave pattern. And so they decided that, well, if we're at Venice and we've got villas on either side, we're standing in the canal. And so somehow they came up with some red water and some really interesting things swimming in it. I'll leave that up to you to decide what they are. You know? Pardon me.
That was the original.
That is
design?
actually a sample of the original piece, original carpeting. We're very fortunate we received a grant from the Oregon Cultural Trust to reproduce this carpeting. So we actually have it all remilled now. It's sitting in a warehouse waiting to get installed once the theater is complete. Is it going to go all like in here? Exactly. It'll be in all the lobbies, all the stairwells, all the aisleways. So once again, yeah, you'll have a very padded, luxurious walk. Hopefully not a roll down your ramp. You know? Yes. But you'll notice it's beyond capacity. It's almost all women except for a few men up in here. We don't know exactly what we're going to do. Actually, we're going to talk about that when we get down there. We're going to put this adjustable staging thing. To give you an idea of
Second
how
floor.
we're going to change the space. We're actually going to be expanding this.
So this is looking.
This is actually standing right here. This is going to be a second bar right here. This bar. Second
So it's looking that way then.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's actually just a couple of pillars. We have to keep these pillars. But then men's restroom over here. The bathrooms in this place are beyond dismal and small, and once again, a modern venue, it just would not work, so we're expanding them. Then our restoration committee, who has a lot of women in it, said, no, you need more. So expand that. This space will be able to seat 200 people conference style, 120 people at table rounds. So once again, it'll be rentable space separate from the rest of the theater for conference space. Now once again, this space has been sponsored by two people, three actually, Robert and Susie Gibbons and the Lennart Charitable Trust. So we're appreciative of them for doing that. Yeah, if you have not seen, we have a very unique thing called a conversational urinal. and they've already discovered it. It's kind of a highlight. You remember using that? Yep. I know. The only time I ever used it was conversational what? It's called the conversational urinal. Urinal? Urinal. So essentially, if you're down there in the audience and talking with your buddy, and nature calls, you can come in here, do your business,
back in the 30s,
and still watch.
no, well, you can actually continue your conversation, do your business, and
not disturb.
well, I encourage you to take a step down and look at it.
You gotta go see the talking
You
toilet.
have to be very confident in yourself to use that one.
It went from a conversation.
Oh, I see that. There used to be a urinal there for the shy people.
So just so the camera catches us, why don't you? There you go.
And Sarah can stand there. We're having a conversation about the show. It's a great show. Well, you're not that big. Okay, you're supposed to be.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a great show. Love the actress. She's really good at that.
So you seen how the second floor was. That's how the third floor. This is what it would look like. Yeah, make your move. Christ. So this was like the hubbub of town. That was the Medford Hotel. City Hall. That's the police department.
That's a hell of a DC motor there. This is where you die if there was a fire. Really? Yeah, because everything was designed to close up.
Mentioned earlier, this was kind of an innovative space at its time. Medford Mail Tribune did a 4-page article talking about the theater when it opened. They spent a full page just talking about this one room. Because originally, in 1930, what they used was film with silver nitrate base. Now, silver nitrate isn't just flammable, it's explosive.
It's fun.
Yes.
Oh, is that
This is a 5-minute cartoon reel. It's safety film, so it's plastic, it's safe. But something this size would be enough to engulf the entire room in flames.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so you can imagine safety was a big concern because theaters burnt down. Because you look at this, and you've got these tiny little frames in here. And how do you get that little frame big and bright enough to see the screen all the way down there? The way they did that, what they do with my other rod here, is they took 2 carbon rods, held them real close together but not touching, and then ran 350 volts of electricity through it.
Oh, wow.
So you get this bright light, a lot like arc welding that you see today, and that's how they would lighten things up. That was really kind of the industry standard all the way up until they came out with xenon bulbs. So this is great. You got this. You got this open flame. You've got these giant cast iron machines for film. And then you've got this explosive film. Not a great idea. So what they
In
did
this tiny little room.
in this tiny little room. So that's how theaters burned down. So they were excited. This room is actually completely lined with concrete and steel, supported separately from the rest of the building all the way down to ground level on its own piers.
Wow.
And was one of the first adopters of safety systems that you see today in modern theaters with these different slats. They're all held up with a fusible link. So what happens is when that fire explosion happens, it is so hot that it melts all these links, the doors come shut, the shutters go down, seals the fire in here, so everybody else can get out of the building. If you're a projectionist, it's not a great.
You're cremated.
Exactly.
Cremated.
If you did survive the explosion, the fumes would get you in seconds.
And what's it say on the shutter?
Excuse me?
What's it say on the shutter?
I still didn't hear you. I'm not
Something
sure.
fan on, be sure fan is on.
Yeah. They had a number of ventilation fans. All of these originally had glass in them also.
I want to see what it says.
Now,